So it's been almost 2 full days since I done the seal. So the sealant has definitely cured by now. I did notice there was a marking on here which corresponds up to the balancer, which is great, so they put it on by factory. But just to be certain, if anyone else tries this, yeah, just make some marks anyway if you don't see one of these, or if you do, make a separate one, so yeah, just match up 2 different looking ones. I've currently got the balancer heating up at the moment, so that way it expands a little bit and slip on here nicely. I've used paper towel and cleaned the outer of any sort of dirt and grit that might stop it, and got in there with some little brush and cleaned out the threads as well for that. So yeah, looking promising. Let's see how we go with the balancer. Hey everyone again. So now that I've got the balancer in, a little bit of a pain, the pins didn't want to go in, but I marked up the 2 factory marks that were there, as well as the ones up on here. So yeah, it's on the right way. I just want to make sure that everything's all nice and equal, and to do that, I'm going to put the bolt in, and then I'm going to use it to turn the crank in the engine that the engine is supposed to turn, and keep an eye on the distance here to make sure everything's as it should be. So yeah, let's see how we go with that. Alright, so after, just to recap, I put this on and it needs to go down a slightly little bit further, and by putting the bolt in and tighten it up, it pushed it that little bit further that I couldn't get it by putting a small block of wood on the front which covered the entire face and lightly tapping it. So I didn't want to put it on uneven or anything like that, so yeah, the bolt really helped. Yeah, it needed to go in an extra millimeter or 2. And now the little pin that's in the side of the balancer here is perfectly lined up for the middle of the sensor for the tack, and that's what I'm going off for proper placement, because it doesn't make sense that this isn't perfectly lined up underneath the sensor. And this is just reading over the lip, so that tells me it's a good position. And whenever you're doing this on a high torque bolt or anything like that, always use 6-sided, never 12-sided, because you'll round off the edges, and finding another one of these bolts in the right size and everything will be near impossible, especially on short notice if you need your car going the next day or something. So yeah, what's next is to put a bolt in a location here so I can stop everything from moving, and then I can take this bolt out, apply some thread locker to it, and then put it in and torque it up to 250 foot-pounds. It was so something along the lines of 400 or 500 Newton meters. So just the same amount as I took it off at with my long extension. Anyways, let's get to it. Just a bit of an after note, make sure you're wearing some gloves that can handle some heat when you heat up the balancer. I used welding gloves and they worked pretty well. Anyway, so yeah, time to tighten this up. I've got the 27mm high impact deep socket on there. It's 6-sided with the breaker bar with a 1.5 meter extension. So yeah, I'm going to slip it over the end and then press upwards to get this working rather than pull. I'm going to push, so that way I get the strength of my legs in there rather than working my back. Alright, let's see how we go. Alright, so just down here you can see this little dot. I discovered that after I had put the 27mm bolt in and torqued it up, so I'm going to have to line it up with the other notches that are in there. So yeah, a bit of a pain, but oh well, there's only one way to do it. Try to do it. Alright, so yeah, see the 3 dots there? Of course, when it was balanced, they couldn't really put a punch right on the edge there, so they put it in the next closest one, which is here. as it needs to be in this position for the bolts to go in, so that stands to reason that this is the position. The bolts need to come out so that way the pulley can go over, and I'm just cleaning this up now just to be certain that there's no mark. And as I'm holding it now in the 11 o'clock position, there seems to be a little circular dot, and I'm going to take that as the mark. And there's another one over there. I'm not too sure, there's two. No, there's three. Maybe this one's perfectly balanced all the way around, I don't know. Well, I'll give it some more scrubbing and see maybe if there's a mark on the inner side somewhere else, or on the back. Now I'm looking on the back of the pulley, with these have got weights in it, which means it's been balanced at the factory, so I can put this on any way I need to. That's great. Although there is that dot there. Odd. Maybe I'll put that dot to line up with the other dots. Anyways, yeah, moving forward. Alright, so what I've done is put two different types of nuts on a replacement one, and then cut it down with an angle grinder to the correct length. And now when I take these off, it should reset the threads to their proper way they should be. And it gives me two opportunities to do it with both of these nuts being there. Alright, so I've got the pulley on, tightened up all of these, got the big nut on, torqued it down, and yeah, it's just about time to put the front fan assembly on and the rest of the belts and tighten them all up. Then the fan, the condenser, radiator, and all the tubing and whatnot, and fill her up and give it a start. Just a handy little tip, see how where the bolts go, it's open. So a good idea is to put a bolt in the one furthest to the bottom. That way you can just kind of sit it in line where you need it, get a bit of support, and yeah, get the second one in without much trouble. Alright, so this is the back of the condenser. I'm going to straighten up some of the fins as best I can and blow all the dust out. No, you need the fan off so that way you can get the condenser in thing, because these two pipes need to go in on an angle through the larger hole down there. Alright, so she's all back together. Sorry, I was a little pressed for time, so I didn't get a chance to yeah, take any more clips, but all back together. And yeah, she just dripped a little bit, so I think it might be residue from what was left on the underside of the oil pan or something like that. But so, you know, I'll give it a degrease and we'll go from there. Cheers, bye.